Is this thing on? What's poppin', boys? What's poppin'? Sorry for the wait and shit. Sorry I'm late, boys. Sorry I'm late. All right. But we got a good stream this evening, and I'm really excited to get into these topics. It's been a minute. Actually, it hasn't been too long. Last week was a good week. We had a lot of good topics to discuss. Um, but it's been a minute since we had a lot of topics just back to back to back like this. So, I'm excited to get into today's topics. You all see the thumbnail, right? This is bad. Joe Pyfer in the octagon after his win last night. He shouts out God. Yeah, I mean, we're just going to kind of get right into it. Um, but I guess I will kind of let me read some chats real quick just to get it started, show you guys some love. Um, just 1 second. I just got to go put the stream on the TV and I'll come right back. All right, boys? But thank you for your patience. I'll address the chat a little bit and then we'll get into the stories. I almost just started going right into Joe Pyfer, but I'll hold off a little bit. All right, and then also, just before I get started, I just wanna share my current position with the chat, just so we're all on the same page before we get started. I feel like it'll be best. So, obviously late night stream starting 10:30. And these ones, bro, just in the back of my head, I got an anxiety that if I raise my voice too high or some bullshit, I'm gonna get some stomping upstairs. So I think if I share that with you guys, it'll make me feel a bit more comfortable. So that's why I'm sharing it with you. But there's a chance that could happen. I'm gonna be talking normal. I'm not gonna be. I'll try to keep my voice down, but I got a stream to run, and we got some good topics to discuss. But I wanted to let you guys know that off the back. I always got this anxiety in the back of my head when I start these streams late, and it kind of messes with my thought process. But if I share it with you guys, hopefully it'll kind of like clear that up for me. Because usually I just keep it to myself, but I'm sharing it with you guys right now. Okay, Tuxedo, thank you for the $2 dono, homie, saying what in the fuck was that? Sorry, brother. Sorry. Let me pull the stream or the Instagram up. Thank you for the $2 dono, Tuxedo. And I don't got an explanation, boys. I don't got an explanation. I was just at home researching some things, just, doing my thing a little bit. This a DGen stream. I figured it wouldn't be the biggest deal if I hopped on 30 minutes late. All right. I was just waiting to get into the right frame of mind to hop on here. And then when I said I was ready, I was ready. Because, I had to shower. I had to shower before I hopped on stream. So I was kind of being lazy. I was scrolling on my phone. Had a hard time getting up off the couch, getting the vibes going again. But we're good now. That's the transparency. Let's shout out the first person in the chat tonight. I mean, oh my gosh, we've had a crazy chat already, and it's only, 5 minutes in, less than that. But Tuxedo says log on. I'm here, homie. I'm here. Shout out to Tuxedo for being number one in the chat tonight. Round of applause for Mr. Tuxedo Mask being first in the chat. We always got to shout out the first person in the chat. So shout out Tux, and then the dono too. Come on now. Yuri says this is Perry Pudge's chat, and it's a lot more funny. Oh hell yeah. Yeah, I would figure we're a pretty funny chat. Pretty much anything goes. Okay, yeah, lagging on the homies. What up, everybody? What up, America First, Tuxedo, You're Retarded, Meat Rocket, Bloodhound Lil Jeff, Zim. What's poppin', Zim? All the boys. Perfecto. What's poppin', Perfecto? Tony Sal. Okay, let's get current with the chat. You were scrolling IG looking at baddies. I mean, yes, there were quite a few baddies that came across the timeline. I also made this post just about an hour and a half ago. So like it took some creative juices to make this post, and then I just got kind of tired. So I just had to refresh my creative juices. But this is a post I made. I clipped off my reaction to the Maycee Barber knockout last night. If anybody's interested in hearing it, here it is. Hold on, let me fix the audio. Space Kid, what's poppin', Space Kid? Stream was bumping yesterday. A lot of super funny comments from yesterday as well. Yeah, stream was bumping. Stream was bumping, for sure. Maycee Barber needs to quit, bro. She needs to go have a baby. Oh my gosh. Please, can we never see Macy fight again, bro? I'm done with this. We see this all the time with Macy. You know, I'm sympathetic, but it's like, bro, like, I just don't ever want to see her fight again. I'm good on that. I'm good on that. How did she get that badly hurt from that? So that was my initial reaction, you know, before I hopped on social media. My initial reaction was, how the fuck does Maycee Barber get hurt that badly from just a straight left hand? You know, a left hand down the middle, you know, straight step back, you know, pop the 1-2, knocks her out cold, spins her around, you know, full 180. Then she eats one more for good measure right here. Then Alexa takes the neck and chokes her. And it's like, yeah, when I first watched this, I'm like, how the fuck does this girl get that badly hurt from a left hand? Exactly how I said it. But I know, you know, it was a crazy knockout, and I'm not taking anything away from Alexa necessarily, but it was the raw reaction. And I think as time goes on, you know, social media a little bit, people don't really go towards that route of thinking. You know, they go more towards the route of thinking of like greatest female knockout of all time. Good job, Alexa Grasso. And I agree. You know, there's two sides to the story, and that's definitely one of the other sides. But the other side, in my opinion, kind of is like, yo, Maycee Barber, do we really want to see this? You know, do we really want to see this? And I don't know. I'm going to wait to share my full reaction with you guys, but I don't think Macy was fully even knocked out. I think something else happened, and I'll share that opinion with you. You know, like I said, I'll share that opinion with you, but I think something else happened, bro. I think that everything was normal, and then she had a panic attack. Okay? There's the spoiler, but you got to wait for me to explain it. But I think she straight had a panic attack. You know, she got knocked out, she wrestled back the ref, normal everyday shit we see in the UFC, right? We always see this in the UFC. You know, knocked out, wrestling the ref, okay, boom, you know, fight's over now. Well, for her, I think she low-key had an anxiety attack once she kind of came to, right? Because eventually after all the fighters wrestle the referees, they come to, right? And they're like, what the fuck happened? I think when that happened, boom, panic attack. That's my thoughts, bro. And I got some B-roll that we can play to kind of prove my point, that it was more so a panic attack, and she was more so there for a second. You know, and I'm going to try to prove it to you guys. Now, I don't know these things to be a fact, but I'm going to do my best to prove it to you, because I think you will all agree with me, but I doubt anyone's really noticed what I'm about to bring up to you guys. But, you know, let this be a cliffhanger, my reaction to Maycee Barber getting almost killed by Alexa Grasso. You know, she needed to go have a baby. And then the last topic, you know, the last topic of the headlines, because we did, or, you know, we haven't really got into Joe Pyfer yet. So I'll circle back to Joe Pyfer.
Bring him up, Joe.
Okay, I'll circle back to Joe Pyfer. But this is the other topic in the headline. You know, we got 3 today. Who gives a shit about Jon Jones, right? I guess Dana definitely doesn't give a shit about Jon Jones. And, okay, so if we were all in the streams yesterday, or not even yesterday, but the last 3 days or so, if we were all in the streams for the last few days, we've discussed this. And the media guys, they dropped the ball at the post-fight press conference for UFC Seattle. They dropped the ball. right? They asked the wrong question, and I get it from Dana's perspective. I'll read this to you, and then I'm going to go back to Joe Pyfer, and we're going to get into that story. But let me just read this to you right now, so you guys can kind of understand what I'm going to explain to you in the future. But we'll play the video and stuff like that later. But it's just like, do I even really want to spoil it? Yeah, I don't even think I want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it. So I'm just going to leave that cliffhanger as is. The media, they dropped the ball at the UFC Seattle post-fight press conference. They're asking about Jon Jones negotiations falling through. Dana saying, who gives a shit? I agree with Dana. Who does give a shit? You're asking about the wrong fight that fell through, homie. Boom. Okay, wait for me to explain all that because people don't get it. And I even put a poll, right? I put a simple poll, and this can even, tease into what I'm going to be speaking about. But my poll was, we care why the Jon Jones negotiations fell through, or we care why Ilya and Islam negotiations fell through, right? And everyone's voting, oh, we care why the Jon Jones negotiations fall through. Hence why this fucking media guy is asking this question too, because everybody's clueless. Everybody's clueless. But you know what I keep seeing a lot of when I start talking about crazy things? Not even that this is a crazy topic, but everyone's like, we just care about fights. We just care about fights. So it's like, you guys need to start paying attention to a little bit more than just fights and start listening to me a little bit more, Because we care about fights, but we need to know, what goes on behind the scenes too. Because for everybody who says, we care why the Jon Jones negotiations fell through, I feel like those are the people who, quote unquote, just care about fights. Because it's like, dude, you're so clueless. Like, Jon Jones was never happening. How do you forget that? I got to explain that to you. Fucking Ilya versus Islam is the one that should have happened, but it fell through because the UFC didn't want to pay him. This whole Jon Jones thing, there's so much more to explain, so just wait on it. Like, I haven't even scratched the surface of it. I got you guys. I straight got you guys on this one. Now, let's go to Joe Pyfer. Shout out to everybody watching. I haven't said it yet, but like the stream, run up the likes on the stream, and subscribe if you're not subscribed. Let me read a few chats before we get started. Tuxedo, thank you again for the $2 dono, my brother. He says, why did Izzy try to go band for band with Pyfer? Well, I told you guys, the Joe Pyfer Izzy knockout, if you guys want to talk about fights for a little bit. I told you that's how that fight was going to go. I was like, bro, Izzy, he going to not be able to skirt the octagon. Joe Pyfer is going to walk down Izzy as much as he can. The only way Izzy can win this fight is if he takes away Joe Pyfer's fighter spirit by standing in that pocket and beating his ass, and getting Joe Pyfer to back up off of straight damage accumulation. That was his only chance at winning, and it didn't work. It didn't work, but that's exactly how the fight played out. Izzy could not move around. Izzy was doing a good job of hitting Joe, but he didn't get the respect to back Joe off him. Joe took all the punches, all the punishment, and walked through all of it, kept walking forward, and he found the finish. So credit to Joe. And Izzy going band for band with Joe, I'm assuming that Tuxedo means like punch for punch. And that's why, homie, because he can't get on his bike anymore. He can't skirt the octagon like he used to. So that's the issue with Izzy, and that's why he's losing all of his fights, because these dudes can walk him down now and pin him. And before, they couldn't walk him down and pin him, right? But they're walking him down, they're cornering him, they're taking him down a lot easier now. I don't know what happened to Izzy's legs, but Izzy essentially lost his legs. He's kind of like really awkward, The legs are really awkward. That's all I can really say. They're just really awkward. I don't know what animal I'm trying to compare it to, like a gazelle or something. I don't know. But the legs, he's losing the legs. Pyfer went body cam off. Yes, he did. Because Izzy's still traumatized from the Strickland fight. He's still trying to prove to everyone he can bang. I don't know if he's trying to prove that. I honestly don't think he can avoid it. I don't think he can avoid it, America First. I don't think he's trying, it's an ego thing. I think that he's stuck in there. Yuri says, I put money on both Pyfer and Izzy. Good shit, homie. I guess you made even money or what? You didn't win anything? You didn't lose anything? Pine Mountain Club, Belishka, Macy, girl, I'm going to miss you. Peter Pyfer picked a peck of pickled peppers. Shout out, homie. That's a good chat. 93 Octane says, peace, fam. I don't know what he's saying that for, but don't tell me peace when the stream just started, homie. What you trying to do? Kill my vibe? The fuck? Stream just started, homie says, peace, fam. Homie, you're killing my vibe with that. Why the fuck would you leave when the stream's only 16 minutes in? Whatever. Man, Ilya versus Islam would have fed families. Thank you, Space Kid. Space Kid, I know you pretty much know what I'm gonna say, but I got more to say. Just in simple terms for everybody who doesn't really like get it or care to like, follow along. If you guys got day jobs, and you don't need to understand the Dana White beef, I'll just break it down for you. I'll break it down for you. Real simple. I'll tell you the things Dana's not saying. I'll even tell you why he's not saying it. Space Kid says, you switched your pick fight night. Switched up. I know. I actually switched it the night before, bro, when those highlights came out about Joe Pyfer taking down Al Hassan. And then also the knockout, in his amateur debut. I know it's his amateur debut, but I was just like, damn, bro, homie hit hard. Like, homie hit super hard. Bamboo legs. Yeah, something like that. Just super fragile. Blood on Lil Jeff says Strickland and Scarlip is gonna be pretty cool. Oh no, that's Pine Mountain said that. Strickland and Scarlip gonna be pretty cool. It'll be a good fight. I'm excited for it. And honestly, I think it's good matchmaking. Imavov and Hamzat don't want to fight, so I don't want to see that fight. I know Imavov's the number one contender, but so many times homie said he doesn't want to fight Hamzat, so like that's the one exception. It's the only time I'll be okay with it. Because he literally didn't want to fight Hamzat. On behalf of Dagestan. Bloodhound says Izzy doesn't have much punching power to fall back on either. With everything else diminishing, he has to be perfect. Yeah. And I mean, he'd be better off developing his power. I know you just said he doesn't have it, but he'd be better off developing it because it's not working without it. He's like a light pitter-patter puncher who can't get out the way of shots. I mean, it's a recipe for disaster. If you can't get out the way of shots, you got to have some stopping power behind your punches. Bambi legs. Yeah, Bambi legs. I was like, what the fuck? He's not elusive anymore. Yeah, he's not. And I don't know. It's not his fault necessarily. Maybe it's just age. But I don't know. I'd love to know, like, does he have a knee problem? Is it a hip problem? Like, I suspect there might be something there, Could be a knee or a hip. I don't know. People are also saying he sold his soul for that Pereira win. It's just funny, banter. Not that I take it very seriously, but I could play with the clip. I have it bookmarked. He KO'd Alex. Nobody does that to him. I know. That's why I mentioned the part about him selling his soul. Okay, so let's get into Joe Pyfer. And oh man, boys. Man, how am I going to navigate this one? We probably got Joe Pyfer in here right now. This shit definitely probably popped up on Joe Pyfer's YouTube. And hopefully he didn't click on it because he's not going to want to hear this. But, it's like, this is the truth, man. And I know a lot of people don't want to speak on the truth, but, even more the reason that I guess I have to. Because, this could even be a warning, and I come from a sympathetic place to some degree. It just doesn't have to happen to be for Joe Pyfer, right? It just doesn't happen to be for Joe Pyfer. So, man. It's just tough to even get into this topic right now, boys. Because what I'm going to say right now is pretty much going to destroy Joe Pyfer's entire, saved by God mentality. And I'm not the guy to want to do that. I love God. I love Jesus. I'm a God-fearing man. But let's just put it like this. This dude is using God for all the wrong reasons, in my opinion. And I'm not really here to fully judge. But I'm going to tell this story exactly how I perceive it to be. All right? Exactly how I perceive it to be. Now, obviously, I clipped this off because I thought this was a beautiful quote. So let's start here. Joe Pyfer, UFC Seattle Fight Week. He's been talking all week about his newfound Christianity. You know, he's like essentially a born again Christian. He's always kind of followed the beliefs, but he's really locked in on Christianity. You know, in this fight camp, he locked in on it. All week he's talking about it. All week. Okay, we don't know why necessarily, but I think even earlier on in the week though, you know, I said he was hurting people, or he said he was hurting people. And I told you guys, I think earlier in the week I did say it sounds like he cheated on his girl. All right, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert, you know. So all week long, Joe's talking about his newfound Christianity. And I did say it when I was reacting to some clips. And I said, you know, so he cheated on his girl. You know, it sounds like he cheated on his girl and then he found Christianity. That's all we knew, right? The cheating on the girl part is an assumption. But he definitely found Christianity and he's hurting people that he loves. So I'm like, okay, you know, that's what I'm gathering so far. Fast forward to the fight, right? He goes ahead, knocks out Izzy. I was covering 2 fights at the same time, so give me 1 second. And like I told you, boys, you know, trying to keep the voice down, so hopefully I'm not talking too loud. I prefer to talk loud, but tonight we're just going to try to keep it down and peaceful. Okay. Second round. So yeah, Joe Pyfer, you know, he knocked out Izzy in the second round, right? So second round, Joe Pyfer knocks out Izzy. He gets on the mic in the post-fight octagon interview. And by the way, right, congratulations to Joe Pyfer, right? Congratulations, Joe Pyfer. Great win. Like, honestly, beautiful win. This is what sucks about this. And this is why it's like, I don't want to do this, but I feel like I need to do this right now. You know, for good or for bad, right? Whether you fuck with me for this or not, I don't care. I feel like it needs to be said. And you know, so let's just get into it, right? He gets on the mic after the win, a great win. I'm not taking away from the win one more time. Okay, a great win. I was super hyped on the win. It sucks that all this stuff came through. I'm sorry for honey dicking it. Here it goes. You know, after the win, he gets on the mic and he admits that he almost just unalived himself 2 weeks ago. Here's what he said. You know, I could see this moment happen in my own life a couple weeks ago, and I just found God. God restored me, baby. That's the only reason I'm here. All glory to God for this victory, or else I'd be dead in a ditch somewhere. So boom, you know, it's all coming out now, right? I assumed he cheated. He's definitely found, you know, he's a born again Christian. He's saying he just found God in the octagon interview and God saved him. You know, he almost committed an unaliving, but he's been saved by God. So what does this do, right? By the way, this is the finish. Great finish, taking nothing away from the guy. Was super happy for him. And when I saw this quote, I was super happy for him. You know, it gave me some chills, so to speak. I mean, I hadn't posted all day. I hadn't posted all day yesterday on the IG. I said, you know what? Joe Pyfer admits he almost unalived himself. And he gave all credit and all glory to God in the post-fight octagon interview. This goes first. Out of all the things going on yesterday, this goes first. I'm posting it. So clearly, you know, I have no bad intentions for Joe. I'm just calling a spade here. So let's move forward with this. You know, Joe, he goes
what
to
exactly has been going.
He goes to the post-fight press conference. He gets asked about these, you know, suicidal thoughts. And you know, this is essentially what he said. And it's very telling. You know, this just ties it all in and it's like, damn, it's true. Damn, it's true. And it's like, I don't even know what to say, man. I mean, I do know what to say, and it's gonna suck to say it. It's crazy because I almost don't want to say it. Something in my subconscious is like trying to tell me to not say it, but I'm gonna call him out. I'm gonna jump to conclusions. I'm gonna say something, you know, that people probably won't like necessarily, but I don't care. You know, some people will reside with this train of thinking that I have, and I think probably a lot of people will, but you know, Joe says, He elaborates on God helping him overcome suicidal thoughts. I had a dream where I was disgusted about who I was. I broke a lot of people's hearts around me, and particularly one person that I will never hurt again. I'm just disgusted with myself. So this is his quote, and let him explain it to you.
Going on with you, if you can share it, and what has helped you overcome it.
I almost took my own life like a couple weeks ago, and I found God. God restored me, baby. That's the only reason I'm here. I got the most beautiful woman at home waiting for me to marry her, Ashley.
That right there too, man. I'm like, dude, motherfucker. And I got an issue with the marriage too. Low-key, I got an issue with the marriage. But yeah, he shouted out Ashlyn. He was mentioning that girl all week long. That's why I thought he had cheated. And then he says, shout out Ashlyn, can't wait to marry you. It's like, dude, definitely cheated. Then he admits to cheating in the post-fight press conference, so here it is.
I love you. All glory to God for this victory, or else I'd be dead in a ditch somewhere.
I was born into chaos and a messed up family, and as many children are. It's not like mine's super special compared to anybody else's, but yeah, I was a victim of my own self-destruction. I had lust issues. I had just this toxic cycle of coping. Nothing drug-related or anything like that, but I had a dream where I was disgusted about who I was. I broke a lot of people's hearts around me, and particularly one person that that I never will hurt again. And shit, man, I just disgusted with myself. So I went and got therapy. In this dream, I feel like God chose me and took my hand and gave me a restored life, a renewed life, man. The only thing I can say is that I feel like all the pressure of the world is gone. All the expectations of the world is gone, and I feel like a true free person. This whole week has been beautiful with my team and all the support of my coaches, and just showing them that you can change and you can be a better man, and that God is real, Jesus is real, and there's certain ways that you're called to live, and those are the ways that I followed, and through my prayer I was granted this victory. Because let me tell you, I prayed probably 50 times this week, and I was the most calm, happy, peaceful, appreciative person I've ever been in my life.
Okay, so I know one person says he found God 2 weeks ago, some Christian. That's another thing that's not really corroborating with this story. I'm going to play it for you guys, but in this post-fight press conference, he says that he's been reading the Bible for 6 months. Oscar Willis asked him something along the lines of like, how would you recommend people cope, with these types of thoughts? And he said, like, read the Bible. I've been reading it for 6 months. So I don't know, like he's all over the place, right? I thought he was a newfound Christian, but he's been reading the Bible for 6 months. 2 weeks ago, he almost offed himself. I can't even like tell you the timeline, but I'm just telling you, he claims he's been reading the Bible, audio style for, 6 months, but he just found God 2 weeks ago. So I don't know, he's kind of confusing me. And fuck the confusing shit, bro. Fuck the confusing shit. I got 2 things to say right now. 2 things to say. One thing is this, boys, nobody gives a fuck about the lust. Nobody gives a fuck about it. And I ain't Jesus. I ain't fucking Jesus. I'm just telling you what I think, okay? This is a personal anecdote. All right, if you're not married to your girl, okay, and you're lusting, who gives a fuck, bro? Who gives a fuck? Okay, in terms of God, I'm pretty sure the marriage is a holy thing. So if you make a promise to God, that's a different type of thing. But when you're not married and you're dating somebody, bro, and you got all this lust, like, bro, you're just figuring out your life. It's tough out there, boys. Do not get down on yourself. You are not a bad person for thinking another bitch is hot. What the fuck? What the fuck? The world is so much more colorful than this shit. So just do not ever get that twisted. Like, boys, if you think that that bitches are bad and you got a girlfriend, who cares? Who cares? Do not get down on yourself. This is like, some bullshit. Like, even if you be looking at corn and shit, you're not betraying your girl, bro. You're not betraying your girl. You're being a fucking man. And listen, we're not perfect. In the eyes of God, we're not perfect. We are all sinners. Okay, so shit, you just got to say a prayer, apologize for your sins. It ain't that big of a deal, bro. You dedicate your life to God the best you can, but shit, you're never going to make it perfect, and that's okay. You don't got to make a deal with God that you're never going to make a mistake again and all that stuff. Like, you don't got to make a deal with God for that. We are not perfect people. We are not perfect people. I see Cupcake saying you're wrong about that. I'm just sharing my thoughts. That's what I said. I'm sharing my thoughts about it. But in my honest opinion, I think many men, that's why they got these issues, because they suppress it and they don't want to admit that they got lust issues. And I'm just telling you, I think it's personally okay. I think it's personally okay. And like I said, you can agree with me or not. It's perfectly fine. But the other thing I wanted to say about Joe Pyfer is, this is where I'm just going to jump to conclusions. Okay. So Joe Pyfer, man. He cheated on his girl. He cheated on his girl. And people think that maybe she wanted to leave him. Now, I don't know that it's true whether or not she wanted to leave him, but I'm worried about that. I'm going to say it like that. I don't know whether or not it's true that she wanted to leave him, but I'm worried about that. Because if she did want to leave him, and how do I say this? And then he found God, right? Then he got visited in his dream, and then they're getting married. Is this healthy? Is this healthy? And honestly, I don't think it's very healthy. I can almost compare this to another story. I know of stories like this. Lots of times women do want to leave, and a man is very upset about it. He's worried about losing his girl. If you ever lost your girl, right? I'm sure you kind of like, you know the feeling, right? You don't want to lose your girl. That can definitely cause you to make big life changes. The fear of losing your girl, maybe she found out about something. So, man, this is a tough one. This is a tough one. This is a tough one for sure. But in other words, a lot of times men will use God and use religion as a way to keep the girl. Okay. I'm almost not accusing Joe Pyfer right now. I hope everybody can understand that. I don't know about his inner situation, but I'm reading between the lines here and explaining some things to you guys that you might not be seeing at face value. If you really hurt a woman and then she wants to leave you, you're going to swear to make, big life changes. And one of the things that people do is they use God for this. And I'm saying to you guys right now that I know other situations like this. I've had to give other people advice against stuff like this. Basically, it's like the one thing I will give Joe credit for is that he's taking credit for a lot of things. Joe is taking credit for a lot of things, but at the same time, I'm worried that he's using the religion thing to keep his girl. He's using the religion thing to keep his girl. And then the marriage. So the marriage thing, this is what I have to say about the marriage thing. It's like, who's his therapist? Because he said that he went and got therapy. Did he go to church and get therapy, like counseling, right? From the pastor? Not that that's that big of a deal, but it's like you got to be careful with the advice you're getting, because why is he getting married now? Is that because he was living his life in sin? Because him and his girl living under the same roof, and they're not married, and he just found God, and he's living in sin. If they're not married and living under the same roof, So, in other words, too, right? If you guys understood that part, but it's like he's getting married to her now. And in other words, if Joe has these issues that are, underlying, right? Lust and all these things, whatever it was. You know, he hurt her, but he did mention lust. Whatever it was, bro, God and marriage is not going to fix that. You know, there's a fundamental error there. And I don't even know. It could be that you might not be with the right girl. I don't know. That's just a guess. I don't even mean to diss her, but I'm just saying it could be that you're not with the right girl. I don't know. But like, you know, you got some fundamental issues. And if you just use God and if you just, you know, get married and things like that, you know, this could be an issue. And I'm telling you, to the part of marriage, to the part of getting married after the girl wants to leave, bro, I'm telling you guys a story of something that I've already experienced with not myself personally, but I know of a similar story to this, you know, of a guy almost losing his girl, right? Being super sorry, crying about it, so to speak, you know, figuring out what the problem is. And I'm saying the one thing I give Joe credit for is that Joe didn't figure out what the problem was and pin it on somebody else. Joe found out the problem was himself. So I do give him credit for that. But I'm worried about all this. I am worried about all this. And so, you know, we can't forget, right? We can't forget this too. We can't forget this too. I'm almost brushing over the biggest part. He almost unalived himself, right? He almost unalived himself. So what does that have to do with things? Like I don't know. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but it's easy to jump to the conclusion that he almost unalived himself because, you know, him and his girl were going through a rocky moment because he was unfaithful. And it sucks that Joe Pyfer is getting grouped into this. And I don't know for a fact, you know, about all of this stuff. I really don't. But you just have to wonder, you have to worry about these things. The almost unaliving himself, like I just said. Was that a manipulation tactic? Was God a manipulation tactic? Was the marriage a manipulation tactic? Homie got lust issues. You know, it's not, in my opinion, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal, boys. I mean, you're fucking born with, you're born with it. Like, you think I asked to be attracted to women, bro? The fuck? You think I was I had control over that? It just happened that way, you know? So like I don't think there's necessarily a problem with lust issues, but you know, controlling yourself is another thing, I guess. But I even think, you know, call me crazy, bro. Call me crazy. But if you make a mistake, let me put it like this. If you make a mistake like Joe Pyfer did, you're not a bad guy, man. You're not a bad guy. Like, and I get it. If you're married to her, it could be a little bit more intense. It definitely could. But this is the point where people miss. It's like, bro, we are not perfect people. Shit. And if you're a man of God, you know, we can sin. And it's like, bro, just because you made this type of sin, it doesn't mean your life's over with. It's the same shit as like, you know, doing someone dirty in another way. Like, I don't know. It's a sin, bro. But these ones get really trumped up big. And I don't know. It seems like him being unfaithful really got to him. And I'm trying to tell you guys, like, shit, don't let that shit get to you, bro. Don't let that shit get to you, bro. Hopefully you have enough, like, you know, personal strength inside, man. Bro, you guys realize how crazy, like, life is in general? Like, more than 50% of marriages end in divorce and shit like that. Like, how many people are cheating on other people. Like, I'm not saying it's normal, but I'm just saying, like, you shouldn't kill yourself over it, you know? Like, he's fucking saying. And I'm just telling you guys that, you know, Cupcake don't fuck with it. But I'm just saying, boys, like, I'd rather you guys be forgiving of yourself than go down a fucking rabbit hole spiral like Joe Pyfer and almost take yourself out, you know, because of guilt when it comes to that. Castro, like, yeah, go cheat on your girl. It's like, bro, I don't know. It's not a good thing necessarily, but I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Life is a very colorful situation, and the whole black and white of like you can never like don't you cheat. It's like, bro, I don't know, bro. Life is complicated. you know, and people, all I'm saying, it's not right, but people can make a mistake. And if you make a mistake, you shouldn't take yourself out over it, bro. You made a mistake, bro. We're human beings. Lust is a big thing. That's one of the biggest struggles, bro. That's one of the biggest struggles. Just, you know, I'm just saying that you're human if you got those issues. Pretty much all I'm saying, you know, you're human if you got those issues. Forgive yourself, you know. I'm not attracted to anyone other than my girl. It's like, please, bro, shut the fuck up. You know, like, are you kidding me right now? I'm not attracted to anyone other than my girl. Like, let's be real about that. Let's be real about that. I see Hawk in here talking about Joe Pyfer's little buddy downstairs. Crazy work. No one truly knows what anyone is going through. What's up, Jacob and crew? What up, AD kid? Never give up no matter what. Give yourself a chance. Space Kid says, it also comes with experience too, to let stuff like that go. Bro probably wasn't getting played before the UFC, but he's young. Yeah. I mean, maybe. Maybe. Yeah, third grader vibes. It's like, please, bro, come on. Women are beautiful. Women are beautiful. And I don't know, man. The parameters with the world on that stuff, it's difficult. And then today, you know, you got that explore page that shows you all the baddies. Massage parlors are more discreet. Exactly. They are more discreet. Don't let me find out Joe Pyfer fucking was about to off himself over a massage parlor tuggy. That would be the worst thing I ever heard. Okay, but just to kind of go into this a bit more, just a little bit more. Joe Pyfer also
Want to be better.
hold on.
Let me tell you, I prayed probably 50 times this week, and I was the
He's gonna speak about, you know, how he kind of like reinvented his faith. He's gonna talk about that real quick. 80 says, Jacob, did you hear UFC ratings for viewers dropped, meaning fans not watching? Are you talking about the pay-per-view buys from 2024 and 2025? World Beat Chronicles, Justin's glass jaw won't make it past round 1. Yeah, most likely not. Tony says maybe he cheated with a dude. That would be diabolical, bro. Hawk says UFC becoming niche. Definitely. 80 says Raf event had more interest than the UFC. Oh, 100%. It's psychological warfare. If you fucked a dude, that'd be nuts. He was piping Sean Brady. Stop, Juice. Stop. Come on, bro. I'm trying to be quiet in this bitch. I'm about to lose my shit. Relax on the fucking piping Sean Brady. It's too funny. I can't control it. Oh my god. I was about to lose my shit. Jiu-Jitsu with Brady gone wild. Oh my gosh. Release the Pyfer files. Imagine Pyfer on the news during a massage parlor raid. Shout out Tony. Shout out Ruby Z. Shout out Jew. Shout out Hawk. Shout out Tony Sal. More so yesterday's event. Oh, no, AD, I didn't see that. Drop the context in the chat. I would love to know. I didn't see that. It sounded like you were talking about that. That's why I asked the question. Because it sounded like you were talking about like ratings and like, you know, streaming numbers or something. The Pyfer files is crazy. Jacob, should Adesanya change his camp? No, I don't think it's a camp, AD. I think it's Izzy. I think it's Izzy's body, bro. It's shutting down on him. All right, let's hear Pyfer, though, real quick. He just speaks about reading the Bible and stuff for like the last 6 months. And I don't know. I'm just presenting a question. Like, when did homie become a Christian? Like, this is what I'm talking about, though. You know, like he's saying a lot. And I don't know. I'm confused. Like, he says he just found Christianity, you know, this fight camp. Let's put it like this. You know, he says he offed himself 2 weeks ago. He says he offed himself, or he almost offed himself 2 weeks ago. But, you know, all fight week, he was saying, I just became a Christian in fight camp. You know, I just got closer to God in fight camp, right? Just happened in fight camp.
But right here, he's going to say, like, I've been reading the audio Bible for 6 months. So I'm just very confused. Honestly, I'm very confused. But listen to him say he's been reading the Bible for 6 months. Bro, and here's my opinion. Here's why I'm asking the question. Because if you've been reading the Bible, then that means you're taking Christianity pretty fucking serious. You don't just read the Bible and you're not locked in on God. All right, that's straight cap. So, he's been listening to the Bible for 6 months, but he just locked in with Christ on this fight camp, but you've been reading the Bible for 6 months. So I'm just a little bit, I don't understand it. I'm just telling you guys, I don't understand it. If you've been reading the Bible for 6 months, then like there's no way you just found God in this fight camp. Is that fair to say? If you've been listening to an audible Bible for 6 months, there's no way you just found God in this fight camp. So did you get rolled for cheating, homie? And then she wanted to leave you? And then you were fucking sad about it and you had a dream that she did leave you? And then you said, God visited me. I'm going to dedicate my life to God. But before you did that, you threatened to off yourself. So you had the nightmare, then you threatened to off yourself. Then you don't do it and you say that you found God. Something along these lines, bro. Something along these lines. And then she stayed with him and now they're going to get married. Do you guys see how bad this is? I didn't mean to put it all like this, but it needs to be said. And now they're going to get married. So, homie, oh man, just rewind it, man. Just rewind it. I love saying it twice sometimes. I love saying it twice, but I don't want to ruin it. I actually don't want to ruin it. Rewind that shit. I just gave you the whole chronology of it, and there are some assumptions there. But if you were to write out that timeline on paper, you want your daughter marrying this dude? The only thing he did was take accountability. He didn't blame it on nothing. He said, I was ashamed of myself. And I respect that. I can find respect in some of his flaws. Most guys that do this type of thing that he's doing, they're like, it would be easy for him to say, I know why I cheated. It's because of my upbringing. It's because of my upbringing. I'm messed up. I need God. I'm going to pray more. Let's go get counseling at church. You go see the pastor. The pastor says, are you guys living together? They're like, yeah. He's like, well, then why you guys are living in sin unless you get married? Oh, so now we got to get married. I'm scared. I'm scared for the girl. I'm saying this for the girl. Like, shit, man. Be careful of guys like this. Be careful of guys like this. And this is coming from somebody who, like, bro, I was picking Pyfer to win. I think he's a good fighter. I'm happy that he beat Izzy. No diss to Izzy, but I'm just happy for the guy. But then I have to say all this about him too. This is just, I guess you could call that being based. The truth is the truth. And I'm not here to glaze anyone, suck anyone off. I could be happy for you and tell the truth about you at the same time. And yes, I made some assumptions. I'm not saying they're all concrete facts, but I'm saying you guys make up your own mind. Let me put it like this. If your mom came to you and she told you, we're about to break up. He cheated on me. Then he almost took his life. Then he found God. And now we're getting married. Mic drop or what? Your mom comes up to you and tells you that. He cheated on me. We almost broke up. He took his own life. God saved him. Now we're getting married. Answer it in the chat right now. You telling your mom, okay, mom, bet. Bless up. Amen. Amen to that, sister. What's poppin', Dylan? Good to see you in here, brother. While you guys are responding to that, respond to that right now. Your own mother. What would you say? But here's Joe speaking about, reading the Bible for 6 months, which just confuses the fuck out of me. I just don't get it.
Most calm, happy, peaceful, appreciative person I've ever been in my life.
It is not your responsibility to tell other people how to find help and stuff like that. But as someone who has now been to those darkest depths that you shared, what would your message be to others if they were finding themselves going through something similar?
Well, for the ones that are willing to listen, give yourself the opportunity to read the Bible and ask questions about each Bible. I'm almost done the Bible. I don't like to read that much because I feel like I fall asleep, so I never can get through it. So I downloaded the audiobook, and I've been listening to it for 6+ months. I write down questions from each book or things I don't understand. Surround yourself with people that want to be better is the first thing, and then give yourself an opportunity on your faith. It's the most freeing thing in the world. We are not, the wages of sin is death. We are not just here to be good people, live, die, and then there's eternal darkness. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. It's something I always struggled with because I would say I was a believer, I was a Christian, but I was lukewarm with it. I'm a believer, I'm a Christian, but I'm out there and I'm messing with women, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. That's just not godly. There is no downside to living by Christian morals. If you don't respect that, that's fine. But give yourself the opportunity for true freedom.
Congrats on the win.
Thank you so much.
Over here.
Okay, so that's it, boy. It's a tough one. It's a tough one because I'm not gonna say that trauma can't help you find God, right? I'm not gonna say that, but at the same time, the whole almost taking his life and getting married, that's why I'm doing this topic right now. That's why I'm doing this topic right now. Because if you cheat and then, so to speak, your girl wants to leave you and you find God out of regret, that's okay. I can almost understand that. Cheat, your girl wants to leave you because she finds out, you find God, that's the wake-up call, right? I'm fully aware that people get wake-up calls in very, several different ways, shapes, and forms that cause them to come to God. But the two things that I have concern for are, like I said, almost taking his own life, and then them getting married. Them getting married is crazy to me. So yeah, that's what I would say about that. And that pretty much concludes the topic. That concludes, the Joe Pyfer. This is bad. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. That's a tough one for sure. What up, Tyler Betts says, low-key, you don't just start dating a UFC fighter unless you looking. Looking for what? Pyfer can't read. Tyler Betts, how was UFC Seattle in person? He should get hair plugs in Turkey. Tony Sell said he's a good Christian like Jon Jones. Honestly, I think that being a Christian, it obviously is like trying to live by those good morals and stuff, but it's mostly about, having a true belief and love for Jesus Christ. And wanting to be right, wanting to do right. But, you're never going to be perfect, bro. You are never going to be perfect. And that's okay. Right? That's okay. I think, though, the main thing about being Christian, my takeaway, I'm not the perfect Christian, nor do I know that much. I don't even mean to preach. But just on this topic, let me just say one last thing about it. Is the main thing, boys, is not being perfect, is not living by a moral code. It's having a, all-willing belief, in Jesus, and a big love for Jesus, a true belief, a true love for Jesus, believing that he's the Son of God. So that's pretty much all you really need to do to be a Christian, and also try to do right. But I'm just saying, if you do wrong, it comes in many shapes and forms, and don't take your life for it. Don't take yourself out for it. Anyway. Oh, Tyler Betts says they're looking to date someone famous. I got you. Dating a UFC fighter is like super easy. If you want to date someone famous, that's like the easiest way to go. It was fucking sick, loudest crowd possible. Bro, that was one of the better cards of the year, I would say. Definitely one of the better cards of the year. Lots of finishes. Good shit, Tyler. You see any UFC fighters? Tyler Betts says, that's some New Era shit, TBH. I'm a sinner, but I believe in Jesus. Well, I mean, bro, I mean, I don't know, because it's like they say Jesus died for our sins, you know? So, like, what did he die for then if we can't be sinners? You know? Now, it's being a sinner, I mean, people are going to be like, so you could do anything and apologize for it. It's like, I don't know. I don't know, bro. Now we're getting into the weeds. But if we speak about lust, bro, that is a very common trait, you know, amongst almost all human beings, you know? Because someone's going to be like, so you could be gay and just apologize to God for it? It's like, I don't necessarily think so, bro. That's not existent in all human beings. But lust is definitely existent in like all human beings, and we all struggle with it. So I'm more so talking about lust and all that stuff. I'm not saying you can murder, but I mean, technically, you know, you kind of can, according to God, you know, according to the Bible, right? If you fucking apologize for that shit, you can murder. That's a crazy one, isn't it? Moral code of conduct. All right, let's get off this topic. It's a bit of a wily topic, is it not? I know. The boys always want me to stop being political, and here we are, an hour into stream. Talking about shit I didn't plan on preaching at all. Didn't even mean to. So sorry if nobody enjoyed that. I would understand. Okay, so other big story of the day is Alexa Grasso almost kills Maycee Barber, bro. This was really bad. And well, first off, let's take a look at the KO shot. Boom. This is what almost killed her. Nothing really that crazy. And I just really say this to say that here's what I think happened. See how Macy's wrestling back the leg there? Macy's wrestling back the leg. I think this is all normal. A normal knockout, right? Follow me though. Follow me. Normal knockout. Okay. And then I guess I can't show the full thing because it's copyright shit, but I'm trying to. You know, boom. You know, boom, here she goes, she falls over, and here she comes to. Look at her eyes wide open, just wide open. You know, she does come to here. And here's the one thing that I got. Here's the one gripe I got. And this is taking nothing away from Alexa Grasso, but I'm just saying that Macy kind of like, I don't know what her deal is, but look at this. If you're knocked out, you don't have control of this left arm. Okay, follow me. Follow me. If you're really knocked out and limp still, you don't have muscular control over your arm. And whether you know it or not, keeping your arm like this elevated on your stomach and across your stomach is like, that takes muscles to hold it up there. Okay, your arm wants to just fall flat to the mat, which it will do. She will do it because out of like exhaustion, or what my opinion is she had a panic attack. You know, she came to here and then she had a panic attack and just laid there flat. You know, it was almost like, oh fuck, you know, I just got embarrassed in front of the world type shit. And I think she straight had a panic attack because we all know she passed out before her fight. You know, like a year or two ago, she was passing out before her fight. So clearly, you know, mentally she can go out. You know, she could just pass out, so to speak. And this is what I think happened because, like I said, you know, Alexa knocks her out. Macy wrestles back. Normal stuff. But then the referee lays her down. Her eyes are wide open. Look at this arm. See how it just sits there? I'm going to replay multiple times. But watch her arm just sit there. She releases the muscle and lets it fall. Okay, she releases her own muscle and lets it fall. Look. Do you see that? Look. That takes strength right there. But it's almost like she was having a panic attack and her strength was zapped out of her as she was coming to and having this really embarrassing moment, you know, in the middle of the octagon in front of the world. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. Is that she was coming to As she's coming to, boom, panic attack because she's having this big embarrassing moment, you know, in front of the world, and she knows the optics of it, and she's already got a history of having fucking seizures and shit. But just watch the arm again. I'm gonna play it like 2 or 3 times just in full speed for you. But just watch the arm and you tell me, you know, it takes muscular control to keep it across your body like that. Look, there's like a couple seconds where it sits there, and as she's starting to have a panic attack, I think she just starts to release it. Go lay flat and see, and tell me that it doesn't take muscles to do this. It takes a little bit of muscle. It just camps there, camping there. And then she lets it go. So I don't know. But that's what I wanted to say about it. And congratulations to Alexa Grasso. Here's the knockout again. Alexa Grasso is straight thugging, though. You know, it was a beautiful finish. Now that we got through that Maycee Barber part, this finish by Alexa was beautiful. AD says, I don't know about shit looked bad because Grasso knocked her the fuck out, then jumped on her back for the rear naked choke. And if the ref doesn't stop the fight, she could have definitely suffocated her. No, I'm not saying that it was a bad stoppage by any means. I'm more so saying that the dramatic ending to it, you know, the extended Maycee Barber laying flat on the floor, I think something else was happening there. I don't think it was like that brutal of a knockout. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. You know, Macy laying on the floor lifeless like that, I don't think it's because of the knockout necessarily. I think it's from other circumstances. And like I just explained, you know, I think it was a bit of an anxiety attack. Because you never really see that. You don't really see that. You know, you don't really see this. You see her eyes are moving. Look at her eyes. Like she's there, but I swear, I think she's having a panic attack, bro. There's a level of awareness there for her. The muscle control, in my opinion, and the eyes moving. Macy is ass. Yeah, definitely. What about the poopy pants? Tell me about the poopy pants, Tony Sal. The ref was on point. Good shit on the ref. Yeah, nothing to say about the ref. Ruby Z says, yeah, her mental was out of it. Yeah, I think it was more of a mental thing. And I know she just got knocked out, so of course it would be. But, I mean, that's the only way I can explain it. And I see a lot of people saying stuff along those lines, though. Let's see what people are saying in the comments.
How did she get that?
They're probably all mad at me, though. This dude's a hater. What is bro rambling about? Okay, yeah, they like to hate me when I fucking talk shit, so I already assumed that was coming. But let's see over here. You know, everybody knows what I'm talking about over here when I'm not the one saying it.
A little bit worried.
See, like people are saying, call me crazy, but Macy acted there after she hugged the ref's leg. So that's a big one. You know, someone else is saying that. But then other people are saying that was really brutal. Alexa could have killed her, but thank God she's okay. Someone else says good acting. Anyone who thinks Barber acted has zero knowledge of boxing and what happens when you get hit in the jaw like that. When I saw how her leg buckled, I knew she was out cold. This kid reminded me of Pacquiao against Hatton and Marvia versus Paul Williams. Oh my gosh. She was out of it. I heard she pooped her pants. Did she really shit her pants?
Wait, did she really? Somebody's commenting that too. We were laughing and cheering wild when it showed her doing that. Bro, did she shit herself? All right. All right. So, well, let's hear what she had to say about this.
A little bit worried that how long she was out.
I mean, it's part of the sport. I mean, you know that it's always like that. I just wanted her to wake up, thinking that to wake up as soon as possible. I trained so well this fight camp. It was very, very tough. It was very, very hard. I wanted to get a finish. Of course, my jiu-jitsu game was the first point I wanted. You know, I wanted to finish her. But of course, you know, my boxing is always there, and I'm super glad that it worked.
Do you feel like you finished her with the punch or with the choke?
I mean, I think it was both. I think it was both.
A little bit worried that how long she was out.
Dan Fox says he's the one who commented on it, and it says, or Hawks, yeah, Dark Hawk 007. Hawk, that was you, homie? You don't fall on your ass when you get knocked out. You fall on your ass when you get dropped. You go stiff when you get knocked out. That is true. That is true. You do go stiff. 80 says, looked like she was on autopilot, which we all seen fighters do after they get knocked out. They train to shoot and go for a leg takedown. It's automatic reaction from training. Yeah, again, also, you know, I think that the going for the leg was totally normal. Totally normal. My only thing was the extended laying lifeless on the mat afterwards. Hawks is wait, no, I don't know who that is. Homie doesn't want to dox his IG. I don't know whether or not that's Hawk or not. Oh, wait, he says, my thing is Jeff Frid knows karate. Okay, are you in these comments or no? I don't see you in here. Poopy Pants, damn, I want to buy her fight worn fight kit. Oh my gosh, Tony. That's wild. Okay, so this Jon Jones thing, this is going to be a bigger topic for you boys that I got for you. Okay? I got quite a few things to say about this. It's going to be nothing crazy, but I got quite a few things to say about this. So shit, let's just get into it now.
Bring him up, Jon Jones. I know he was never in contention.
Let's just go over it now, but before we even play the clip, you know, let me just read out what I got to say about it. Okay? Because it's like, oh man. Okay, boys, we've been through this, right? We've been through this. Let's go over it one more time. Dana White is mad at Jon Jones because he was super nice to Jon in the build-up to the Stipe Miocic fight, in hopes that in good faith, Jon would turn around and fight Tom Aspinall, you know, for the ultimate bag. Jon Jones didn't do that. And Jon Jones, you know, it was an unsaid agreement, right? And it's fine, right? He's totally in his right to not honor the unsaid agreement because there was no pen to paper, and they never even really spoke about it. It was just like, you know, essentially Dana was courting Jon during that whole lead up to the Stipe fight. He was courting Jon so that Jon would turn around and fight Aspinall. When Aspinall retired, you know, that made a big mess for everybody, especially for Dana White, because Dana was counting on a lot of this stuff. So Dana's very upset with Jon over this. And even in this, Dana's going to be like, so what, I hate Jon Jones now? Honestly, I think Dana's reacting to the videos I've been making, because I made a thumbnail, right? And I said, you know, he hates Jon Jones. And I'm explaining why he hates Jon Jones. And no, he doesn't literally, you know, hate Jon Jones, like with a passion. It's a thumbnail. But it's like, he really doesn't like Jon Jones. He really doesn't fuck with Jon Jones. And even Ziggy saying, so tired of hearing about Jones, he has retired. So actually, this is the one Jon Jones topic you're going to like, because I'm trying to tell everybody, stop worrying about Jon Jones. You know, Dana's pissed at him. And the person we should be asking about is why Islam's, you know, isn't fighting Ilya on UFC White House, because Ali said Islam would have fought with or without a hand injury on UFC White House. And Ilya said, you know, they asked for more money, and then the UFC came back and they said, nah, we're just going to have you fight Gaethje. You know, if you want to negotiate, you can have Gaethje.
And it's like, that's the question they should have asked. Instead, the fucking reporter is like, Dana, I hate to ask about Jon Jones, but Jon said that the negotiations fell through over money. Is that true? And Dana says, who gives a shit? And I'm here to agree with him. Who gives a shit, bro? Who gives a shit? You're asking about the wrong guy, the wrong fight. And the reason why Dana can't really answer these questions and really elaborate is because I just told you guys everything. Is Dana really going to explain that? Is he really going to say, I really hoped Jon was going to fight Aspinall. That's why I was being nice to him, and I'm mad at him over that. I don't really like the guy over that. No, because it was an unsaid deal. It was an unsaid deal. So this is why it's even worse and more frustrating for him, for me, you know what I mean, to listen to these questions being asked, for him to answer it. Because if you pay attention, you don't need to ask the question, bro. You know the answer. Like I told you guys before, okay? Jon retired about that with the Tom Aspinall thing. Fast forward a couple months, however many months it was, UFC White House gets announced for Donald Trump's B-Day. Jon was still retired, motherfuckers. Jon was still retired, and the UFC had already accepted UFC White House. What does that mean to you? That means that they thought they could sell it without Jon Jones. If Jon was such a completing factor, a completing component to the UFC White House, and they couldn't have done it without him, then why the fuck would they have agreed when he was retired? Jon's the one who came out of retirement begging to fight on White House. And now everyone's like, we wanted to see Jon Jones on White House. Why isn't that happening? Bro, get a grip. Get a grip. They don't need him. They don't even want him because he did them dirty in fucking negotiations. They gave him everything and an easy lick at that in Stipe Miocic, and then Jon just turns around and dips. That pisses Dana off, bro. You think Dana doesn't notice, what are easy kind of fights for him and what aren't? And Dana low-key also mad that, like, he got the easy bag against Stipe and he didn't have to fight hard, I know fighting's hard, but you should know what I'm trying to say. So that's kind of the explanation here. And this is why stop asking about Jon Jones, motherfuckers, and ask about Islam Makhachev and why he's not fighting Ilya, because he would have with or without a hand injury, like Dana's claiming, kept him out. And they'll also mention that, is it because of the money that Ilya asked for? This is the question to ask. Stop asking about Jon Jones. He's retired. We don't care about him. Ziggy is right. Completely right. And here's just the caption that I put. Dana White got asked about Jon Jones' comments about UFC White House negotiations falling out over money and said a whole lot of nothing, TBH. Dana said a whole lot of nothing, but that's why I just explained it to you. He can't say a whole lot of anything because it's a relationship issue. There's a lot of, intrinsic components that don't really need to be explained. He's not going to explain it. It's a lot of emotions that don't need to be explained, and they haven't even been validated. So Dana's definitely not going to be the first one to move the chess piece and be like, I'm mad at Jon. He's just not going to do that. But here's the rest of the caption. But at the same time, what people keep forgetting is Jon did UFC dirty by retiring before fighting Aspinall, and Dana doesn't really want to do business anymore unless he really has to. Hence, unless he really has to. Everybody who can't fucking figure out for the life of him, but he hit him up for UFC White House, but he asked him to compete on UFC White House. Oh my God. Bro, unless he really has to. He was playing him like a side bitch who was asking for him back. He said, "I'll fuck you if I got no one else to fuck tonight. What time you free?" It don't mean he actually got to do it. Let me find out that every girl you ever ask if she's free. So you boys mean to tell me you haven't texted 4 different chicks in a night just trying to cover your bases so you could get it in at least once tonight? You tell me you boys never done that in your life. If you're not, you're sleeping, first off. Free game for the night. And if you have, then you should understand exactly what Dana White did to Jon Jones here. Yes, he reached out to fight on UFC White House, but he doesn't really want to do the business unless he has to. So, of course, he reached out because there's a chance, but only if he could use Jon for that chance. Only if it really, on a backhanded way, helps him out, serves him. Do injuries not happen all the time? Do weight misses not happen all the time? Things happen, bro. It behooved them. They don't have many stars right now. We always talk about this. There's Ilya, there's Islam, there's Jon's retired ass. 4 girls is way too much work, Castro. Well, I'm sorry. But in my heyday, In my heyday, I might have texted around 4, you know? In my heyday, I might have texted around 4. That's not even including Snapchat, right? Not even including the IG DMs. You know, we trying to get it in tonight. 2 is max. I'll take my chances with that. Shit, shout out to Ruby Z. You know, try the 4 one time. Try the 4 one time. The only thing that sucks is when multiple want to kick it. You know what I mean? But shit, that's another story for a different day. It don't really suck, do it? If that's the case, that would be a good problem to have. Yeah, so people are saying, like, Jon is done with fighting. Time to turn the page. Shout out Ruby Z again. Not Jones would fight a toolbox 100%, but no one watching it. Shout out to Hawk. No, he wouldn't fight a toolbox, though, Hawk. Jon isn't fighting, bro. That's the thing. Everybody else wants to say, like, oh, yeah, well, that's the other thing, right? Because I saw one other comment, and this is how brain dead these fuckers are. So shout out to Hawk. Not that Hawk's a brain dead fucker. Don't mean to do that. Not at all. Hawk, that wasn't even connected to you, but your comment made me remember somebody else's comment from the YouTube live, on the post-fight press conference. And what did they say? I'm going to play you this clip. Sorry for lagging on this clip, but who cares about this clip? Because I'm talking. Okay, because I'm talking and I'm telling you everything, so we don't even need the clip. We really don't even need the clip because that's how much context I give, boys. We don't even need the fucking clip, but we're going to play it. But I'm just saying. In the post-fight press conference live stream, somebody commented and they went after this journalist for the wrong shit. They went after the journalist and they said, "Bro, you're so dumb. You should have asked Dana. How do you forget to ask Dana the follow-up of if you'll release him from his contract?" Oh my God. You guys are falling for the fucking propaganda. Jon doesn't want to fight. Jon is retired. Jon was only going to return for UFC Wild. He does not want to fight, bro. You think he's going to fight what? Later on then? Later this year, 2026? He's down to come back? He don't want to fucking fight. He wanted to fight on UFC Wild House for a special event, a historic event. He said that himself. He literally said that himself. So everybody being like, and then Jon, the only reason why he has to be released from his contract is because he's being petty because Dana, is slandering his name in the media because, he's that ex-bitch that did him dirty and he don't fuck with him like that. I'm trying to tell you guys, why the fuck is it so hard sometimes? I'm almost pleading with you right now. But anyway, they're asking, saying, why wouldn't you ask about if Jon Jones can be released from his contract? He doesn't want to fight. Who cares about asking that question? Ask why Islam isn't fighting fucking Ilya. Oh my goodness gracious. Somebody please ask why Islam's isn't fighting Ilya. The last thing we need is another fucking Jon Jones question about his propaganda. Okay, Jon's a liar. Dana's a liar. Stop worrying about what these guys are saying, bro. They both they're a toxic couple. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. This is the UFC, bro. Welcome to the UFC. Jon Jones and Dana been a toxic couple for decades. For decades. Run up the likes on the stream, motherfuckers. 25 now. 25 likes on the stream, boys. Please. We got 17 likes right now, 30 people watching. 25 likes on the stream, boys, now. Come on. If you haven't liked the damn stream, run up the fucking likes, boys.
I hate to bring him up, Jon.
Here's the clip. Here's the clip I've been referring to. Here it is. It's going to explain everything I've been telling you guys.
Jones, I know he was never in contention to fight on that White House card. But he did say that he was offered $15 million and it came down to money. Is he lying when he says that?
Who gives a shit?
Agreed. Who gives a shit if Jon's lying? It doesn't even matter whether he is or isn't lying.
So did the negotiations just fall out over money, or was he not?
I've already talked about this a million times, and Jon knows what happened.
Okay.
Jon knows what happened.
Remember I told you that it's a lot of emotional stuff that's happening between Jon and Dana? That's what that means. Jon knows what happened. Jon knows how bad he did me. Jon knows I did everything right by him, and I wanted him to fight Tom Aspinall, and he just retired out of nowhere and left me high and dry, left me hanging. And then on top of that, you know, now we got the new problem with Cyril Gane and Tom Aspinall eye poke situation. We still don't even have a heavyweight champion. As we speak and breathe right now, we don't even have a fucking heavyweight champion. You know, okay, Tom Aspinall's a heavyweight champion. Okay. You know, okay. But I don't feel that way. I know he's the heavyweight champion. I don't feel that way. You know, the fight with Cyril Gane was supposed to bring the clarity. We didn't get no clarity from it. And this all has to tie back to Jon Jones fucking retiring in the first place. So Dana says, you know, Jon knows what happened. This is what he's referring to. He's not talking about the negotiations. You guys got it all twisted. He's not talking about Jon knows what happened in the negotiations. Jon knows what happened between us. Jon knows what's going on. Jon knows I don't really like him like that right now. But funny, because Dana's going to call out and be like, but what, I hate Jon Jones now? I swear this guy came across my YouTube thumbnail.
I don't know. So, first of all, leading up to this, whatever this is, you know, all I do is Jon Jones the GOAT, he's the greatest, da 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 da, and everybody's talking about how I'm blowing Jon Jones all the time. Now this falls out. What, I fucking hate Jon Jones and I'm trying to destroy Jon Jones now or whatever.
Not that you're trying to destroy him, you just don't want to do business with him. Don't gaslight me, Dana.
Jones knows exactly what happened. And this happens every week at the UFC. There's all kinds of negotiations going on. You know, you think Jon Jones is clamoring to fight? Like Jon Jones is like, we have to give this guy 3 fights a year if he really wants to fight. Like legally, we have to give him 3 fights a year if Jon Jones is chomping at the bit to fight.
And this is the joke. This is him respond. See, you don't even need to ask him if he will release Jon from his contract because he asked in a tweet. Dana's speaking about it right now. You know, he's addressing it without it even being asked. You think Jon wants to fucking fight? What would releasing him from his fucking contract do? You think he's going to step in the octagon elsewhere? This dude don't want to fight. And even if he does fight, it's some bullshit ass money grab. And Dana's not going to give him that W. Dana definitely not giving him that W. You know, the last thing Dana's going to do after Jon fucking retired, you know, with the Tom Aspinall fight sitting on the horizon, is release him from his contract so Jon can spite him and go fight on Netflix for Jake Paul for big old money. You know, that's the last thing Dana's going to do. But that is explaining it right there. When he says, you think Jon's chomping at the bit to fight, he's trying to explain, you know, Jon's retired. He only wanted to return for UFC White House. So this whole release me from my contract, it's like, bro, stop. The gig is up. The gig is up. Stop the charade. You're retired, homie. And if you want to come back and fight, then no special treatment, right? You're getting back into the pool, same rules as everybody else.
And if we don't, we have to pay him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hate to bring him up, Jon Jones. I know he was never in contention to fight on that White House card. But he did say that he was offered $15 million and it came down to money. Is he lying when he says that?
Who gives a shit?
What's poppin', Manny Maron saying, we'll have a heavyweight champion soon, Shama? Yeah, Shama. Hopefully he knocks Cyril Gane's cheating ass the fuck out. Who's with me? Shout out to everybody watching right now, though. Shout out to all you boys. You know, that's pretty much the news on the day. That's pretty much the news on the day. Uncle Francis to the rescue, 93 Octane. No, I thought 93 Octane dipped earlier. 93 Octane's still in this bitch. He must have not been saying what I thought he was saying. But no, so let's go through some tweets, right? Let's go through some tweets. Sometimes people say things better than I do too. And I'm telling you guys, I'm not hopping on because other people are saying this. It's just a pretty common, like, you know, I think a lot of dudes, you know, can pick up on what Joe Pyfer's doing. And like I said, just relate the Joe Pyfer thing to if he did this to your mom, right? Your mom's man cheats on her. They're probably going to break up, right? Because she finds out. He goes and tries to take his own life. Then he doesn't because God saved him. And now they're getting married because, he's holy now and they've been living in sin. He wants to do right by God by marrying her. You would be okay with your mom doing that? I would not be. I would tell my mom, fuck no. Over my dead fucking body, that's happening. You know what I mean? So yeah, MMA Alien, and it ain't nothing crazy. But I mean, this does get 2.3K likes. He goes, my ex used to threaten to kill herself whenever we'd argue. This is called emotional abuse. I ain't buying none of this. Piper remains unlikable. Very simply put, it ignores a lot of the color of the situation, right? But it's opening up the perspective. We're just saying that, listen, guys, this stuff, Joe could be, being genuine about everything. Or, even Joe could not even know what he's necessarily doing. It's his subconscious just making him be emotionally abusive, by threatening to harm himself. I mean, this is common, guys. I ain't gonna be made out to be crazy, okay? That shit is so common. Men and women do it all the time. See, and then even this one, right? John Anik's giggle. It takes people who are like on burners, because if people aren't on burners, like me, they get real scared. But I don't. Just say it. But I mean, yeah, John Anik's giggle says classic emotional manipulation tactics to start publicly talking about killing, unaliving yourself after being caught cheating. Puts all the pressure on her now. What a piece of shit. So, understand that, bro. Understand that. I'm going to read it again. Classic emotional manipulation tactics to start publicly talking about taking your life after being caught cheating. Puts all the pressure on her. What a POS. And that's where that subconscious happens. He came up in a very manipulative, abusive household, right? These tactics are manipulative and they're abusive, right? Manipulation, right? Emotional abuse, right? It's not a coincidence that he grew up in an abusive household, right? And he's getting called, emotionally abusive, manipulative. And I'm telling you guys, it's his subconscious. This is how he was raised. He only knows this. This is like his DNA right here. These are his rash reactions to things because of his upbringing. And so it's just worth kind of bringing these to your attention. Sometimes people say it in a really, really harsh way, but it's like, hey, man, sometimes there's a little bit of truth in these things as well. Generational trauma is what they call it. Ruby Z, you've been cooking tonight, Ruby. You've been straight cooking, homie. I still think the Pyfer story is exaggerated. Tyler Betts, in what term? Do you think I'm exaggerating it, or you think Pyfer is exaggerating it? Don't be afraid to share it. It's okay. Obviously, I'm making a lot of assumptions and even jumping to some conclusions. So I do not expect everybody to believe everything I'm saying. Oh, you're not even talking about what I'm talking about. Okay, you're talking about the Pyfer upbringing. Got you. Got you. He was able to wrestle, train as a kid, and his coach took him in. The bad childhood story. Okay. To be honest, I hate hearing those sob stories. It's like, bro. I actually would prefer if like we could speak about it more than he does, but he constantly brings it up. Poor kids didn't have that opportunity. I got you. I got you. I hear what you're saying. Wrestling is a pretty expensive sport. Real charms when Chael Son's dad barely made 100K a year. uh oh, So just watch this. I'm not gonna show it a lot. I can't keep showing it. Sorry. It's too long. It's a 23-second clip. But if you guys want to go see a clip, go to this guy, DSP's unconscious Mexican or just go to This Is Not DSP on X. He posted this thing about Izzy, and it's almost at 1 million views. But the caption says, so this is what really got him into trouble. The same thing that led to that sequence for Strikers, and that you can see is a problem with fighters like Kai Kara-France. This slip shot, linear retreating footwork, gone from the center all the way to the cage in a second or two. So I know somebody earlier said, should Izzy leave City Kickboxing? And I mean, maybe. If him and Kai Kara-France are getting finished off making the same mistakes, just retreating straight back and not circling off, that's a problem, and that's some day one shit. That's some day one shit you should be knowing. One other thing I wanted to show you, just from the post-fight stuff. So someone says this, right? They're like, or they quote tweeted themselves. Ape says, I told y'all Adesanya sold his soul for that prayer win, hashtag UFC Seattle. And then earlier last week, he goes, I'm telling y'all, Adesanya put literally everything he had into getting a win over Alex. Mentally, I think it took something away from him, having finally accomplished the only thing he hadn't been able to before. So let's watch this. I haven't heard this. I saved this for you boys, but this is Rob Font speaking about like seeing Izzy backstage and being in a crazy like hype mode for the Pereira rematch before he beat him.
I was in the back room with him in Miami, and like I don't think I've ever met a more confident person. Like he owned that room. Like the ref came out to him. Remember that story he tells about, hey ref, like let me have my moment. Like I watched that, like, and I was just like he knew, like and I picked against him in that fight too. And I instantly felt bad, and I was like, oh man, like, because like I knew like the way the look in his eye, the confidence, the swag, and it was like, nobody's beating that guy right now. And I quickly switched my opinion right then. I'm like, oh, as I'm walking, like, and then he's like clapping it up for me to walk out too. And I kind of felt bad. I'm like, man, I kind of picked against you. But if anything, honestly, like he almost calmed me down. I felt better at just being around him, feeling that aura. I was in the.
And you guys remember, he even made a post, you know, from like a kid that gave him a message. And he's like, stay with me. Stay with me. Like there's a crazy post he made the night before the fight too. He's like crying and shit. Nah, Izzy conjured up all the spirits for that prayer rematch. Honestly, I got chills just watching those clips right now. I got some chills just watching that. I really respect, you know, when a fighter locks in like that. I really respect it. It's what I love about the sport. You know, Izzy's win, man, that's one of the greatest wins of all time. Izzy beating Pereira, one of the greatest wins of all time, man. Could bring a tear to my eye. You know, it could bring a tear to my eye. That's how impressive that shit is. And same with Alexa Grasso. You know, that was such a great finish, such a, you know, intense moment. You know, such a like career-defining moment for Alexa too. Like shit, that shit gets me like not really emotional, but I would say that shit gets me like low key a little bit. Like I feel the emotions, you know, like for these fighters, like I see it in them. You know, these big moments. You know, lots of weight on your shoulder. You know, delivering. So, yeah, I like that shit. That shit gets me a little bit emotional sometimes when I see just the real dog in a fighter. And Izzy, he showed his real dog that night. And I think even Alexa Grasso last night, you know, low-key showed her dog, you know, her toughness. And what do I always say, too? I just want to go back to this. You know, I want to go back to this because I do always complain, right? I'm a big old complainer. Whatever. Space Kid goes, bro, holy shit, you're right. It's the reason Volk was getting caught by Ilya too. They go straight back when getting hit. Definitely need to switch gyms. I mean, maybe, or they need to call their coach out and be like, yo, homie, we keep getting fucking knocked out like this. Tyler Beth says, maybe he did trade in that one Alex win to never fight again. Bro, you remember that shit? Like, bro, Izzy was hyped, bro. Izzy was hyped. But I wanted to just say this before I forget, okay? Boom. Finish, punch, choke. I always say this shit. I always say this shit, and this is one of the reasons why, I said Alexa Grasso's finish was so beautiful that it could almost make me emotional, because stuff like this I'm very passionate about, bro. I'm so passionate about shit like this. And it's like, this is beautiful. This is what the UFC is. This is what martial arts is. You drop your opponent with great boxing. Then you hop on the rear naked choke and you finish them. You give them no shots. You be practicing this in the gym. You practice these submissions in the gym. You drill it so that when you come into the octagon, it looks like you've been drilling it, like you've mastered these techniques. The reason why you don't see guys going for submissions is because they're scary. Because they're scary, they're not in the gym mastering techniques, and they're definitely not going to try it in the fucking cage where they can lose the technique, end up on bottom, lose the fight. This is great shit. This is beautiful shit. This is what I love to see. I don't give a fuck that it's a female or a male. You know what I mean? This is good shit. This is good shit. And I'm crediting Alexa. You're better than like fucking 90% of the UFC roster if you just do this alone. 9 out of 10 guys, barely fucking do this when they drop an opponent. I'm going to start making a spreadsheet, bro, of how many times a fighter will drop their opponent and not go for a sub because they fucking suck. No offense. Spaceka says that's insane. That is day one knowledge. They should know to they should know to crick the cage. No, I know. That's day one in boxing. Like, you never move straight back. I didn't know that. Like, they didn't know that. You literally never move straight back. Like, never. That's like a rule number one. Like, literally day one, Space Kid. How does Izzy not know that? Manny says Alexa Grasso can choke me too. Manny, would you suck on her toes or what? You be peeping those feet pics? Tyler Betts says, bro, screaming out, keep distance in round 2. I don't know why he stayed close and traded and didn't circle. He's stuck in the mud, bro. He's stuck in the mud, Tyler Betts. That's my opinion. Izzy's just stuck out there. Izzy's just been stuck, bro. He doesn't got the movement like he used to have it. I don't know if it's age, because, he's almost regressing. He's almost regressed, bro. He don't got the legs under him anymore. He like an old dog. Spacey says, definitely being good at boxing alone makes you nice at a female fighter. As a female fighter, yes. That was complete MMA. It was, and it's beautiful to watch. I have such high praise for this kind of thing. I have such high praise for it. Such high praise. Even Joe Pyfer, last night taking down Izzy, putting in the body triangle, turning him over to mount, or belly down, and then just like pummeling him to the finish. Like, I love this shit, bro. Like, that's the shit I like to see. If I don't get to see that shit, I get pissed, bro. Get fucking pissed. Everybody like the fucking stream once again. I want 25 on the evening, boys. Come on now, 25 on the evening. Hook your boy up. Hook your boy up. I guess we'll do one more doom scroll and then probably just dip on out of here. It's been I know it's only an hour and a half long, but I mean, oh yeah, Tyler Betts says, sad they didn't let Nico retire. He had his gloves ready and threw his hands up off cam. His team pulled him back and he left. UFC probably wants him to keep fighting, G. I saw that. I get it from Nico's perspective, but also Nico fucking sucks, bro. And I'm just pissed at him in general. It's like, dude, you're letting these guys why the fuck are you getting finished by Michael Chiesa that quick? What the fuck is wrong? Like, what have you done wrong, bro? Something's wrong if Michael Chiesa is finishing you that quick. I don't know why, but right now I don't got no patience to hear like Francis's reaction to Izzy. We can listen to Macy's though.
Well, this is not the post or video that I wanted to be making today, but I wanted to come on here and say thank you to the UFC and thank you to Alexa for the opportunity. You know, I wanted to go out there and get my opportunity to get my rematch and dominate and get the win back. And unfortunately, it was not my night. I got caught, and Alexa did an amazing thing. She's a phenomenal fighter. And I don't really remember a whole lot. All I know is that every time I go on social media, I look like I'm dead. And that's not a very fun thing to see. So I've been trying to stay off of social media, but I also wanted to come on here and at least tell you guys that I am okay. I am very blessed to live the life that I do. As tough as it is, going out there and being able to do that, what I did last night, was still one of the greatest nights of my life. Despite all of that, that's still one of the better nights of my life that I've ever had. I've had some pretty tough days, so that was still one of the greatest days of my life, being able to walk out there and being able to do what I've done. So I will be back. I'm gonna heal up and put in the work and get back out there. So God is good all of the time, on the highs, on the lows. He's good all the time, so doesn't matter. It's very hard because I don't remember a lot. So this is me saying thank you to everybody, and also I love you all.
Well, shout out to Macy. Shout out to Macy. I don't got much to say. It's like I'm sympathetic. Like I keep saying, you know, I'm sympathetic, but bro, it's like women's MMA is so tough for me sometimes. And yeah, man, I'm not gonna say much. Heal up soon, Macy, and hopefully prove me wrong. Shit, I would be happy to be proved wrong. You know, I said retire, go have a baby. Shit, you want to keep fighting? By all means, prove me wrong. I'd be happy. I'd be happy. Literally, the whole crowd was pro Grasso. Of course, bro. It's the feet picks. All right, that's what I was going to say, though. The last thing I'm going to say is about Michael Chiesa. Pyfer and Barber go to the same church. I don't know if that's true or not, but okay, I was going to say this about Michael Chiesa. Michael Chiesa. It's kind of sad. It's kind of embarrassing almost. Like homie gets a little post-fight press conference on his retirement. It's chill that they do that for him. But it's like homie never got that treatment his whole time in the UFC. Never got treatment like that, you know? And then he gets it on his way out for retirement. It's like, I don't know. Is that super exciting or like satisfying? You get a little pity press conference on your way out. Like, bro, what the fuck's the deal with Michael Chiesa? Giving you a weak-ass opponent on your way out too? Back-to-back weak opponents. He had another weak-ass opponent fall out too. Carlston Harris or something like that. On a 2-fight losing streak. I'm not necessarily, I did say he's weak. But I'll take back saying he's weak and just say they gave him a guy in Carlston Harris on a 2-fight losing streak. And then they replaced Carlston when he fell out with another guy who's like, I don't know, just like Nico Price on a massive losing streak. Fucking Robbie Lawler's retirement fight. Like, I don't know. Is that, I mean, how the fuck are you going to be satisfied? It's like Michael Chiesa chose to play the game on easy. All my Spokane homies love Chiesa. I know. I get it. But Chiesa, he literally plays, like, you know, UFC career mode? Chiesa plays UFC career mode on easy. That's what I'm trying to explain to you guys right now. Like, is that super, how fun is it? How satisfying is it when you win UFC on career mode playing easy? You're like, oh, it was expected, right? Motherfucking Chiesa. Motherfucking Chiesa. That's pretty much all I got to say. Guru was saying how new fans probably thought Chiesa was some legend. Oh, gosh. I hope none of them thought that. But yeah, I probably did. Shout out to Tony for that. That's how I was looking at the screen, Tony, just like Nick Diaz. when fucking Chiesa was out there doing his thing. I was staring at the screen just like Nick Diaz. And Guru's probably right, bro. The new fans probably did think Chiesa was some legend. It's like, bro, he lost to fucking Kevin Holland. Tyler Betts says, LOL, you're right, though. I play all games on very hard. Come on, you can't not play a game on hard. Michael Chiesa be playing the game on fucking easy, bro. And that's why it's like, congrats, Chiesa, but I'm not happy for you. I don't gotta be happy for you either. You play the fucking game on easy. You know, us fight fans, we appreciate and we respect greatness. You know, great achievements. Not fucking being catered to because you didn't sue Conor McGregor for the Dolly incident. And the UFC been taking care of your ass ever since. Motherfucking Chiesa. All right. My back's kind of hurting too. Best if I hop off and get some shut-eye. Shout out to everybody who watched, though. Shout out to everybody watching. We're going to go live earlier tomorrow. Tonight was just a bit of a, you know, just your average Sunday, I guess you could say. Nitro, what's poppin', Nitro? He goes, WMA is so shit, she got KO'd by a jab. Nitro says, define great. What do you mean define great? What did I say was great? Space Kid says, I know, Space Kid. You got to finish up work without me, I guess, homie. My bad. My bad. Just don't talk about Michael Chiesa's mom. Oh, my gosh. I didn't even bring up the whole Michael Chiesa and his dad's story. But that's another one. And I'm sympathetic, but it's like, bro, stop bringing it up all the time. Imagine if every UFC fighter who lost their fucking dad was crying about it like Michael Chiesa. People gonna hate me for that, but it's like, bro, come on, man. Come on. Imagine if they all did it. And then they all had to be sucked off over it. Even Danny's like, you know, mentioning it as a recap of Chiesa's career. You know, it's like, ugh. Andre, oh yeah, Feely, better than Michael Chiesa. Yeah. I fuck with Feely. All right, boys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. That was the stream for today. I gotta go back and rewatch it. What'd you guys think about the Joe Pyfer take? I mean, if you guys want to oblige me, answer me what you thought about my Joe Pyfer take. You know, honest truth. I want to see the raw truth. Raw truth. Even if you guys got some criticism, you know, if I want to hear the raw truth of what you guys thought about the Pyfer take. If anybody got it. If not, I'm a dip. Tyler Betts says, LOL, I literally got set up and jumped on my 21st birthday and I smashed one of those electric rent-a-bikes into their party bus window. McGregor style, never snitched in my life, though. I was reading that twice, Tyler Betts, just to fully understand it, and it got me dying. The part where you said, and I smashed one of those electric rent-a-bikes into their party bus windows, McGregor style. Never snitched in my life, though. LOL. Too good. Too good. Good shit, homie. Good shit. Yeah, I never snitched either. Not to say, I mean, just depends on the situation. If a UFC fighter came up and just assaulted me, I'd probably sue him. You know? I probably would. Space Kid says, LOL, the delayed laugh. It's because I was reading it twice. It killed me the second time when I read it. Tyler Bet says, them shit's heavy as fuck, though. All right, peace out. Have a good one, bro. W stream. Okay, so no one got any takes on the Joe Pyfer, so I pretty much cooked. I pretty much said what everybody was thinking, as usual. You know, per usual. I said what everyone's thinking. Beautiful, beautiful. Whether or not you guys disagree, what I've realized that you guys want from me is to be unapologetically myself. So that's why I don't mind. You know, I'm just always going to tell you guys exactly what I think, and the chat or the comments will never sway my raw, honest opinion. And I know that's what you guys want from me, so that's what I'm going to deliver. You guys want to hear the truth from me, from my perspective. There it is, you know, the whole Joe Pyfer story. Hope you boys enjoyed the Dana White story. That was another good one. And then the Alexa Grasso, Maycee Barber one too. You know, I had a crazy theory on that one. That's the stuff you guys want to hear though, right? More anti-Foyd. All right, Nitro. I got a lot of anti-Foyd. I can't help myself. But anyway, boys, thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. More Islamophobia. No. I won't be doing that. Anti-Foyd's kind of funny, but I don't want to be hating on no people. And I don't even hate women. You know, women in MMA is just difficult for me, but that's all. All right, boys. Peace out. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. All right? Shout out to the streets. Shout out to Tony. Shout out to Nitro. Shout out to Tyler Betts. Shout out to Ruby Z. Shout out to AD Kid. Shout out to Nitro Well. Shout out to Dylan. Shout out to 93 Octane. Shout out to Brain Dead Hawk. Shout out to Manny Maron. Shout out to Space Kid again. Shout out to Jew. He was in here. Shout out to HT. I saw HT in here. Shout out to Jim Lotus. Sorry I didn't get to any of your chats today, homie. That's my bad. No news on Tom. No news on Tom. Jim said, I just got here. I just put a like. Smash that fucking like button. Hee. My man, Jim. I want to see Jon Jones fight. Shout out to Jim. I'm going to show you some love tomorrow, Jim. Hop in the chat tomorrow. I got you. Shout out to a Hawk again. Shout out Ziggy. Shout out to Bloodhound Lil Jeff if I didn't say that one yet. Shout out to Jew. Shout out to Perfecto and Cupcake. I saw Cupcake and Perfecto in here. Tony Sal again if I didn't say it. Demon Hunters. Shout out, homie. Money Trees Exotics, a.k.a. buyer seller. I already know the deal there. Yep, perfecto. Pine Mountain Club, shout out. Oh, yeah, and shout out, of course, Tuxedo Mask for being the first in the chat today and for the donos, homie. Always appreciated. Pine Mountain Club, Belishika. Shout out to you. Thanks for watching. Okay, that's going to be top chats. That's going to be all the chats. I didn't miss any donos. All right, we're good. All right, peace out, boys. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. We're going to be live a little bit earlier tomorrow. Not like out of the norm, but just like before like 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. You know, we're going to be live around like maybe 7 or 8 p.m. tomorrow. All right, so peace out, boys. I will see you guys all around 7 or 8 p.m. tomorrow. Let's hope we get some good news headlines. Peace out, everybody.